Let's be honest, the US college system can feel like a total maze. So today, we're going to break it all down for you, piece by piece, from the first application to the day you toss that cap in the air. Let's dive in.
So let's just start with a really big question right out of the gate. You don't need the perfect answer right now, but how you think about this deep down, it's going to shape every single decision you make along the way.
Okay, now for the official part. Let's just get the dry textbook definition out of the way. A college is where you go to get a degree. Simple. But that simple definition doesn't even begin to cover what it's really all about. We're going to start with the absolute basics. In this first section, we'll get a handle on some of the key terms you're going to hear over and over. You know, understanding the landscape is the first step to finding your place in it.
First up, college versus university. Now, in the US, you'll hear people use these terms almost interchangeably, but there are some key differences. Universities are usually way bigger. They offer degrees for undergrads and grad students, and they're heavily focused on research. Colleges, on the other hand, tend to be smaller and really zero in on teaching undergraduates.
And to give you a real sense of that size difference, just look at this. A massive university like Ohio State has over 10 times the number of undergrads as a place like Emerson, which is still considered a large college. This isn't just a number on a chart. It completely changes the campus culture, your class sizes, and all the resources you'll have access to.
It's also super important to know that college isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. You've got community colleges, which offer 2-year degrees and are often a stepping stone to a university. Then, there are liberal arts colleges that give you a really broad education, while vocational schools train you for a specific career. And of course, you have the big 4-year universities we just talked about. Each one has a totally different mission.
Okay, so once you've got a feel for the type of school you're interested in, the next huge question is, what are you actually going to study? Let's get into how you choose your path.
Here's a kind of helpful, if a little funny, way to think about it. The fun versus money slider. Just imagine every possible major falls somewhere on the spectrum. On one end, you've got pure passion projects, and on the other, you've got maximum earning potential. Finding your own personal sweet spot on this slider, that's a huge part of the whole journey.
So, let's break down the lingo. Your major, that's your main field of study, your primary focus. A minor is like a secondary focus, a chance to explore another interest without committing fully. And a concentration is when you specialize within your major, like being a history major with a concentration in ancient Rome. They all work together to build your degree.
What you major in also determines the type of degree you get. The 3 most common are the BA, the BS, and the BFA. A Bachelor of Arts, or BA, is usually focused on the humanities, prepping you for jobs in things like marketing or journalism. A Bachelor of Science, the BS, is for more technical fields like engineering or biology. And a Bachelor of Fine Arts, the BFA, that's for creative, hands-on fields like animation or graphic design.
All right, you've got an idea of what you want to study and where. Now for the part that honestly causes the most stress for pretty much everyone. The whole application process and figuring out how to pay for it all.
The application process usually has 4 main parts. You've got the forms themselves, standardized tests like the SAT or ACT, those dreaded personal essays, and getting letters of recommendation. And here's the key thing to know. This whole process starts early. We're talking sometimes a full year before you even plan to attend.
And hang on, here's a quick but absolutely critical point. Please, make sure any school you're looking at is accredited. Accreditation is basically a seal of quality. It's what makes sure your credits can transfer, that you can get financial aid, and that employers will actually respect your degree. Going to a non-accredited school can be a colossal waste of your time and money.
Speaking of money, let's talk cost. This number? This represents the average student debt for a borrower in the US. It's a pretty sobering figure, and it's a big reminder that college isn't just an academic choice. It's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make.
So, how do people actually afford college? Well, there are a few main avenues. First, there's financial aid, which you apply for with something called the FAFSA. That single form is the key to getting federal grants. That's money you don't have to pay back. Then you have scholarships, which is also free money, but it's awarded for things like good grades or other talents. After that, you've got student loans, which are a serious commitment you have to repay with interest. And for those who plan way ahead, there are savings plans like 529s.
All right, let's shift gears. Enough with the paperwork and the money talk. Let's get to the personal stuff. You're in, you're on campus, now you have to navigate the people. This is where the real experience begins.
And here's some very practical, real-world advice for you.
There are just certain things you do not say to students in specific majors. Please don't ask a fine arts student about the job market. Do not ask a pre-med student how many more years they have to go. And never, ever, ever tell an engineering student you had a lot of homework last night. Just trust me on that one.
You know, something you might not even think about is how much your choice of major can shape your social world. For instance, in some schools, computer science programs can be up to 90% male, while on the flip side, nursing programs can be 90% female. That kind of ratio is definitely going to have a big impact on your day-to-day experience and the people you're surrounded by.
Before we wrap this up, let's do some quick rapid-fire myth-busting. I want to talk about a few common ideas people have before they go to college, just so you can set your expectations a little more realistically. Okay, first myth. I'll still be one of the smart kids. The reality? You're now in a giant pool with all the other smart kids from every single high school. Welcome to the big leagues. Second myth. People in college are so much more mature. Well, sometimes, but often not so much.
So after all the hard work, the applications, the late-night study sessions, navigating the entire social scene, how do you make sure that this massive investment of time and money actually pays off in the end?
Your technical skills, what you learn in class, are important, but they're not the whole story. I love this quote because it gets to a deeper truth. Things like communication and being able to work with people, those are often what lead to real long-term success. Your degree gets you in the door, but it's those soft skills that are truly going to set you apart.
And that really brings us to a final thought. Your degree is a key. It opens doors. But in a world where AI is getting better and better at doing technical tasks, the skills that truly matter are the ones that can't be programmed. So the question to leave you with is this: what are you going to learn both inside and outside the classroom that will make you irreplaceable?